You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
It's Wednesdays with Keegs, where it's just cleaning up rumors. So you're here, you're on mop-up duty, my friend.
Man, start the season, start the baseball. We're almost there.
Yes.
I can envision myself, Dan, 1 week from now, just standing at a backfield at the Blue Jays complex watching men, like, stretch. And it's so much better than off-season rumors. You know, we're almost out of it. We're almost to real baseball. I'll send out a couple videos through a fence of people throwing a ball, and everyone will think they know what it means. You know, oh, I like the shape of his slider this year, you know, but we're almost there, man, almost there.
Keegs, I will tell you the video to send out, and I'm sure you've sent this out before. Get as close as you can to a bullpen catcher to get that sound. That's an ASMR video, just the pop from the
Every
bullpen.
year, people think that I'm, like, behind. So how it works is they call them the gang mounds, which is a cool name, but there's 10 mounds across, and then the 10 catchers across. Right behind the catchers is a chain link fence. So I, with my phone, get up against the fence, you put one of these cameras through the hole, and I just do it for a good view. I'm not trying to convince anyone I'm standing there, but it very much looks like I am standing directly behind the catcher. So people are always a little scared of that. I should let them believe it. Maybe they'll think I'm a little braver than I am. But it's that's always a cool day. Like day 1 and day 2 of camp, Dan, I'm like energized. I'm thinking, hell yeah, like baseball's back. I have a purpose because after 4 months at home in the off season, you start to need a purpose, I'll admit. And then like day 3 of camp comes, and I think, oh my God, there's 40 more days of this. So we'll enjoy the first couple.
So just give us a good solid minute and a half. Just no cuts, nothing of that. Please and thank you.
I like it. Then a little batting practice video, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, first rumor. Max Scherzer is possibly coming back. Can you say this is true or not?
I like the how should I say this? I like that every single free agent pitcher got their own report yesterday. You know, it's just kind of like it's the day where like a store decides things need to go on sale. You know, so it's a lot of agents at work, and spring training is coming. And especially in the pitching market, Dan, because they're normally this time in the pitching market, you've got a couple of veteran guys to like plug a number 5 hole. But right now there's good pitchers out there. Like that's why the Blue Jays couldn't deal someone like Berrios right now. That's why there's not much trade movement, because you can just go out and buy one right now. And there's lots of them still, led by Framer Valdez, who I'm sure we'll get to. But Max Scherzer is... I struggle with framing Scherzer because I will always remember covering that postseason game in Seattle. It was incredible. It was cinematic. It was so cool. It was a baseball moment I'll always remember. I also remember covering the regular season where he was injured for half of it, and then when he was healthy, he had a 5+ ERA. I know that he came on stronger later in the year. I know we saw some really good versions of Max Scherzer. But for that to make sense for the Blue Jays, I think some other things would need to happen, you know, for it to make sense as a starter. And this has been mentioned elsewhere, but I very much believe it, that it could make sense for Scherzer to wait into the season. And the old Roger Clemens example has been used and thrown around by several folks, but it's something that I can see being realistic as well. You know, let this play out. Max Scherzer's, 41 now. You don't need to waste your time in spring training. Now, for him, he probably loves spring training. He'll put himself through a spring training. But you can wait for openings. You can wait for the right team, the right situation. Because Scherzer, as much as he loves baseball, and that's true, he's not just chasing money. Like, this guy would play for free. He wants to be winning. Like, he doesn't want to come back and just pitch for a 70-win team. So, I'm not preparing to write that story just yet, I guess.
You mentioned Framer Valdez. He, again, had his own article. Blue Jays are definitely in the mix, and I did like reading that if they landed him, that they would have the best rotation in baseball.
They sure would. And let's remove the Blue Jays' existing starters from this for a moment. Valdez would fit really nicely in Toronto. A ground ball pitcher, a lefty to break up a whole bunch of righties, which does matter, especially when you get to the postseason. And if you are a ground ball pitcher and you have Vladdy, who's a Gold Glove caliber first baseman behind you, you have Andres Jimenez, who's one of the best defenders in baseball playing shortstop, pretty good place to be. I think that's a good thing and a good fit from a baseball standpoint. Now, when you factor in the Blue Jays roster, like Dan, we're already talking about what happens with Ponce and Barrios and stuff at the back of the bullpen. Now, you can never have enough starting pitching, I know, and the Blue Jays do have openings next year when Gausman and Bieber and potentially even Barrios are gone. But I wonder if the Blue Jays would be the most motivated team here, and I struggle to see that. Absolutely, they liked him. They talked to him. There was interest there, going back into the Dylan Cease days. But when I look at what would realistically make sense here, it would be a shorter-term deal. If he were to discuss anything with the Blue Jays, it would need to have an opt-out after the first year, I'm fairly sure. And it would be pretty unique. If Valdez went to the Blue Jays, I'd be wondering, like, why didn't other teams who actually need a starter, like the Orioles? I mean, God, the Orioles need Valdez. Like, just go get him. It's very obvious, but it's an interesting wrinkle. And the Blue Jays, I mean, Dan, even when they signed Ponce, I didn't expect them to add another true starter. Even at that point, I won't pretend that that's something I saw coming. So the Jays move in unexpected ways, absolutely. But I just try to think of how motivated other teams would be. And there are teams out there right now, Dan, that don't really know who their number 3 starter is. The Jays are trying to figure out who their number 7 or 8 is. You know, so I just continue to think that other teams will be more motivated. That said, when you remove that, you can see the baseball logic to it.
Has a team ever gone with like a 6-man rotation for the year? That has to have happened.
It has, and it's often used more sporadically. Maybe if you have a situation like where you have Shohei Ohtani in your rotation and you're trying to tinker around a little bit more. The Blue Jays, and I could even see them doing that this year, Dan, off the top, when you consider what variables are at play. Now, Shane Bieber at the end of last year had a little bit of forearm fatigue. That's understandable. He's coming off Tommy John. But where is he at the start of spring training? And do you want to push him hard out of the gates? I don't know. Trey Savage is still very young. You don't want him to throw 200 innings right away. Remember what happened with Alek Manoah. He got cranked up to 192 innings really quick. And at the time, I didn't complain about it, so I don't want to hindsight this. But it was a big jump. And then, what did he run into? Shoulder issues, injuries. So it's something I could see the Blue Jays doing kind of intermittently, whether that's with Barrios or Ponce in a weird middle role, whether that is with Eric Lauer, Gage Stanifer through the middle of the year. We'll see what Bowden Francis bounces back as. It's something
that's a name we haven't even mentioned the entire offseason.
For a long time. And I actually had that moment last night, Dan, where I was just writing a story, doing my usual check of the 40-man roster. Like, let's make sure I'm not missing any names when I'm listing names here. I thought, oh, Bowden Francis, you know? But then when I go back to look at his finish last year, like in the rotation was not pretty. When you are looking at 14 games started and a 6.05 ERA. You know? So that's tough. I don't think that's who he is. I also don't think carrying no-hitters into the 9th inning once a week is who he is either. But if Bowden Francis, like, Dan, the floor for a number 5 starter in baseball is in the basement, okay? Like, just a classic, competent innings eater in the number 5 spot can be really valuable, and I think that's coming back in style. You know, we got really obsessed with openers and swingmen and playing matchups, but I think that teams are appreciating, and I'm more attracted to the idea now of if you can just have a number 5 guy that gives you a 4.5 ERA and doesn't embarrass himself, that it makes everything simpler. You know, you don't have to be saving your bullpen for the next day. So do I expect Bowden Francis on the opening day roster? No, I do not. But take a look at every single year of the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, Dan, let me bring up the last couple of years of who has started games for this organization, and I guarantee there will be people that I have forgot. Looking at last year, Easton Lucas, Jose Urena. Remember Spencer Turnbull last year started a game for the Toronto Blue Jays.
I don't. That person doesn't exist.
You don't expect
that. Never
that.
happened.
Going back a couple of years, you had the openers like Ryan Burr, Paolo Espino. We're starting games for the Toronto Blue Jays. And when you go back 5 or 6 years before they started having better fortune and better planning with injuries, there are years where you're using 10 or 12 starters. It's going to get messy. It's going to get ugly. And if you have 7, 8, 9 deep, you are at a massive advantage. Last year, it was Lauer who really saved their ass, and he saved them from going through that DFA churn of bringing in 5 more names who would have been on that list, leaving us wondering who that guy is.
I must have been in a coma when those guys started games. I don't remember that at all.
I know I wrote stories about them, have no memory of those days.
Okay, so this one is not a rumor. For years and years, the Blue Jays have had fans sticking out of the front of the dome. Those were the statues. Then they put in a Ted Rogers statue. But now they've got an actual statue of a player coming in as the team announced a Joe Carter statue is going to be unveiled.
This is great there. Like, I love this. This is great. And I understand the response of like, well, it took too long. Whatever, okay? You want it to take longer? I don't know. Just people complain about anything. So it has been too long. Yes. But it's coming, and this is good. And the Blue Jays will be moving the statue of Ted Rogers to a corporate office, which is probably where that is better suited.
Yeah.
This is a very good thing. And I've written about how they need statues and things around the ballpark. There were some actual, not issues, Dan, but like factors where I don't think the Blue Jays owned that sidewalk land either. So I think it was a little more complicated than people realize. But we've at least known that something was coming for the last year. Because there were a few different times where we'd talk to Mark Shapiro and talk about like, hey, like fans really want more history around the ballpark. And you could tell that he couldn't say it out loud, but he was like, God, like just give me a minute, okay? Like, So this seems to be a big part of that. And it pairs perfectly with the 50th anniversary season as well. So you're going to see a ton of this through the year. And the Blue Jays have long needed to do a better job with their own history, because that is how you create fans who are going to stick with you no matter what. Now, there's a lot of new Blue Jays fans right now, so this is a very important time. There are more new Blue Jays fans than ever before outside of 93, 94 Springs when they were coming into those championships. And if fans are only here to enjoy, a couple of current players, well, when the Blue Jays suck in a couple of years, they're gone. You lose them. But if fans really become ingrained in the history of the team and they understand who Halladay and Steve were and why they matter, they understand the great outfields of the mid-'80s with Bell, Mosby, and Barfield.
Oh, the best outfield ever.
The best. And they understand how underrated Jimmy Key was, and they understand the dynamic of Dwayne Ward and Tom Hagen. They don't need to be passing a test, okay? This isn't a dude at a bar talking to a girl like, name 10 players. No, it's not a competition, but it's an appreciation. And I think that's so important, because then when you become a little more dug down into a team and a bad year comes along, okay, well, it's still your team because there's more there to care about. There's more there to understand. And I also think it helps you frame how much Vladdy and how much George Springer's home run in Game 7 matter to this organization. So perfect timing with the 50th anniversary. We're going to see a ton of this stuff all year long. Those giveaways, Dan, of the 92, 93 replica rings are like, people are going to be killing each other outside the dome. I'm amazed I haven't gotten DMs asking for one yet. But
and aren't they doing a World Series replica trophy? And then I saw the George Springer bobblehead of him
really
jumping
cool
in the air.
Like, I never keep the giveaways, Dan. That might be one I like tuck away because it was something I was there for, and it's very cool. Like, I keep a pretty baseball-free house just for the sake of sanity. So I always give away the giveaways that the media get. My friends' kids probably think I have money or something. I don't. But it's really excited to see that statue. And that's the start of something, man. When you go to these classic ballparks, when you are in outside around Fenway, when you're around in St. Louis, who has a ton of statues out in front, like, this stuff really matters, man. It does. And every single person who comes from Halifax and Vancouver and the States and wherever else to go to a Jays game is going to get a picture with the Joe Carter statue. It's going to be the place you go. It's a great idea.
You mentioned the New Jays fans, and then it got me thinking, their attendance figures may be back to early 90s levels when they sold out every game. So management and players, as long as you're at the top or near the top all season long, yeah, they're going to be their best attendance figures since those 90s years.
Yeah, those were like 3 million a year, right?
Yeah.
And I'm so far detached from buying tickets to things. Twice a year I'll buy a concert ticket and I'll want to die for a week. But like I'm very detached from the world of like Ticketmaster queues and buying tickets. It doesn't sound like it's a great time right now, Dan. And now things are more expensive, things are harder to get. And God, as they continue to announce more giveaways, it's going to get harder and harder to get tickets to Jays games. And
it is still cheaper than going to a Leafs game.
It still is.
A lot cheaper.
A massive part of me is nervous about, can a family of four go to a game without that being their vacation for the year? It's something that all pro teams are going to have to grapple with, and I hope that continues to be accessible. But when you look at the interest, it's like people are asking me about tickets who have never asked me about tickets. A big part of my job is having people come out of the woodwork who I played hockey with in grade 4 or rode the bus with in grade 8, kind of wanting to, and they never ask right up front, Dan. It's always, hey, man, how's everything going? I'm just like, dude, just get to the point. We haven't talked in 17 years. Just ask me for tickets so I can tell you no. The interest from people who are not typically Jays fans in my life is palpable. It's real. And this stuff matters because those people will buy the fancy drinks and the expensive jerseys, and all of that money continues to swirl and feed the roster, and you build this behemoth of business. And when you are the Blue Jays and it's on the channel that you also own, and it's just everything snowballs, I think. And you can see them continue to spend like they are right now, because fans always want to see a team spend more, but what the Blue Jays are doing right now, payroll-wise, is enough. Like, they are doing more than enough to win a World Series financially. If they can stay here, they're a perennial World Series contender for as long as they want to be, man.
I'm of the age where when I go to a game this year, I point out to my kids, you see that 500 level? Those seats at one time were $5, which they were.
Way back.
You could get into a game for $5.
Toonie Tuesdays, man. Things have changed just a little bit. Like it's tough. I think back to when I would have my parents. We would go down to Fenway a lot. East Coast, a lot of people go to Fenway or to Toronto for a game. And now when I think back, I think, oh my God, I was killing them with that stuff. That was tough. But there's going to be a lot of money go through the old Rogers Center this year, man. And I think they're going to continue pumping those giveaways all week that people are going to be wild about. And it's like there's no such thing as a quiet game anymore, Dan. Like even the Tuesdays and Wednesdays tell you the truth about a team. Like there's going to be Tuesday games with 40,000 people there, man, on a school night. It's unbelievable. And the newest renovation will be unveiled. It was a 300 level. It's like the ultra bougie. Yeah.
It's like leather couches, like no one watches the game up there. You're just in the lap of luxury.
Do you have a finance job that cannot be easily explained? Come on down to the whatever club. Yeah.
Yeah. So next time we talk to you, you're going to be in Florida?
In Florida. I get down on Monday, day after the Super Bowl. I'm flying, so it's going to be a great flight. There, I give myself a setup day, Dan. I'm taking Tuesday just to set my life up, because I'm essentially moving. And then Wednesday morning, the gates swing open of the player development complex, and we'll probably be talking to John Schneider, Vladdy that first day. So it's going to be always a big burst, out of the front, and the first couple days will be filled with, people reflecting on last year, and I'll be eager to get to this year because that's all I care about now. But it's going to be interesting, man. Way different feel. Last year I was flying down thinking, like, what the hell's the point? This team is projected to win 77 games. There's not many competitions, but, after last year, I have learned that all these little things matter, man. And spring training probably doesn't. Remember George Springer batted like 1 for $1 billion last spring. So I'm gonna find ways to keep myself entertained for 6 weeks.
Keegs, you've got my number. Please just send me random guys playing catches. No, you don't have to even put any words. Just throw them. Random guys taking BP. Random
Live
pitchers
stream
throwing.
my day, you know.
Just do it and it'll bring me so much joy.
You got it.
Thanks, buddy. Safe travel.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.